look at these little patterns. So nice. Maybe I should start a knitting YouTube. Hi my friend and welcome to the channel. I am Richard Genders and you are watching Genders Gaming. This is a channel dedicated for analog games. And today I am going to show you the two-player game of Patchwork. This is the Nordic edition, which gets me quite excited because I live in the Nordic, Sweden more exactly. Like I said, this is a two-player game and it's around 30 minutes per gameplay. And it's about you battling out against another player to make the best patchwork. You will be doing this by using small little tokens, moving around the board and getting cool little buttons as well as points. I'm going to show you the setup of this game. I'm going to give you an overview of the gameplay, but also go through the rules of this game. So once you have watched this video, well, you are ready to go out there and knit yourself your own little quilt. This is the setup of the game. Each player chooses their player color, take their board and place it in front of them, and also take the corresponding little tokens here and place it on the starting spot on the time board. The time board should be placed in the middle of the playing area. Each player also take 5 buttons that they will start their game with. Next to the time board we have 1 buttons, 5 buttons, 10 and 20 buttons tokens. We also have the bonus token next to the time board. On the time board we place all the little special tokens here representing flags on their corresponding spot. Around the time board we place the rest of the tokens. And we take the meeple and place it between the smallest token stating 2 buttons and 1 time and the other token. And now we're ready to start playing the game. So this game is about you trying to make a patchwork on your patch. You will do this by placing out the different tokens on your player board. The player that has collected the most buttons in the end of the game is the winner. You will collect buttons by moving around on the board or getting these patches on your player board and get buttons depending on how many buttons there are on the different tokens. During your turn you can do 2 different actions, but you can only do 1 of the 2 available. Now, taking turns in this game is not going from one to the other because the one that is furthest behind on the time board is the player that gets to do their action. If the player tokens ever ends up on the top of each other, the player on the top is the one that gets to do their turn first. But what can you actually do in this game? So there's 2 available actions for you during your turn, but you can only choose one of them during your turn. The first one is simply to move your little time marker here up on the time track. And you can move your time marker just so you pass your opponent's time marker. Meaning that if you choose this action, you stop your movement on the square right after your opponent. So the first action will let you move your little time marker here on the board. But it's not only that, because you will get 1 button for each space that you move on the board. Meaning that if the red player would move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps, they would get 5 buttons. The second available option is to pick 1 of the 3 available patches that comes in clockwise order after this little marker. This is the clockwise order and these 3 patches are available for me to choose. If I choose this one here, for example, I would then take this little marker and move it to the other side of the one that I have just chosen. But to be able to actually take this and put it out on my player board, I need to be able to pay for it. So if we look at the patch here that I have just chosen, I would need to pay 7 buttons to be able to get this patch. When I have paid for the patch, I get to place it out on my player board. And I can place this out any way I would like to on my board, as long as it doesn't stick out from the board or cover any patches that I have placed before. When the patch have been placed on my player board, I need to move the amount stated next to the timer. Here it says 1. This means that I need to move 1 step on the time track. As you can see, I ended up on top of the red player, meaning that it is still my turn. So that is the 2 available actions, and it's quite simple, right? Either you choose to move just ahead of your opponent, or you choose to pick one of the 3 available patches that comes after this little marker here. You pay the price and then you move the amount of steps stated on that patch that you have just chosen. And of course you place it out on your player board. But as you can see on the board itself here in the middle, there are a bunch of symbols on this board. So what do they mean? So on this board we got some special patches in the shape of Nordic flags. But we also have some buttons placed out on the board. But what do that mean? Well, every time you land on or move past any of these symbols or patches, you get a special bonus. If you land on or pass any of the flags, you get to take that flag and put it on your player board. These are the only patches in the game that are sized 1 by 1. But if you pass one of the buttons, you will get an amount of buttons according to the patches on your player board. So when the red player here, for example, passes a button on the player board, they would get 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 buttons. But then we also have the little bonus token here. This one means that the first player to cover a 7 by 7 area on their player board gets this bonus token, and this is worth 7 points at the end of the game. The game will end when the last players enter the last square on the time board. Now it's time for us to see how many buttons we have left. So now we need to add up how many buttons we still have left, plus the bonus tile. And then we need to withdraw 2 points for every empty spot that we have on our player board. Whoever has the most buttons left is the winner of the game. If there's ever a tie between the 2 players, whoever ended up in the last square on the time board first is the winner of the game. And that's how you play this game. It's quite simple. You do either a move action on the board and get the amount of buttons that you have moved, or you choose one of the available patches next to this little fellow here in clockwise order, and you put that on your board. Depending on what kind of symbol you passes here out on the board, you get to take one of the available little patches here, or even get some buttons according to whatever you have on your board. And even though this is quite a simple game, it is quite hard to actually win and get the most buttons, because puzzling this together is pretty much like Tetris. It will not always fit whatever you would like to have, and the pieces available in front of this little figure here is not always what you want to have either. So becoming really good at this game is quite hard, and to be able to cover a whole board, man, I can imagine that takes a lot of practice. This game is quite easy for new beginners to learn. There's only 2 actions, there's not that many symbols, there's not that many ways that players can win or move on the board, so pretty much anyone can sit down and learn this game in no time. Where it gets hard, of course, is when you place out the little patches here on your player board, because it's quite hard to fit in the combinations that you want to, and to get this little bonus tile here to cover a 7 by 7, even that is quite hard. But it's a lot of fun, and it's fun for all players. It's fun for new players, it's fun for older players, and anyone can sit down and just have this game either as a little opening night for a long game night, or just to play a few rounds with the kids and have a good time. The artwork in this game and the color scheme itself is quite plain. I mean, this is quilts, but it's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be more advanced than this. And I like this little Nordic edition here with the thick fabric and the little flags. I quite felt at home when I played this game. And like I said, this doesn't need to be more detailed than what it is. This is supposed to be a simple, easy to learn little game with easy artwork, not that many symbols. Quite just a little cozy game. The rulebook itself is also quite easy to learn. I mean, there's basically no pages in here, there's a lot of pictures, there's not that much text, so you can easily sit down, open this game and start playing it within minutes, even though you have not played this game before. There you have it, my friend. That was Patchwork for you, where you simply try to knit together a little quilt for maybe your grandchildren or your grandma, who knows? This is a game for all ages. Easy to learn, easy to set up, easy to tear down, and easy to play. This is really a cool, small-sized, fast and fun little game with still a bunch of strategy for you to get those right little patterns out on your quilt. 2-player game, around 30 minutes. If you want to know more about Patchwork Nordic, there will be links down in the description for you, so be sure to check that out. If you like this video, well, why not give it a little comment, maybe a little thumbs up. I love to interact with you and I love to know more. Are you a fan of the Patchwork series? I mean, there are a bunch of these out there. I don't really know what the difference is because I am not that big into this game, but maybe I will become now after I have tried this one. Who knows? Throw in a comment there, tell me more about yourself, tell me more about what you think about the game. If you like the channel, subscribe to it. It gives me a smile on my lips every time I get a new subscriber. But most important, people, please remember to keep spreading that board gaming love. If you see somebody needing help with rules, don't laugh at them, help them instead. Help a board brother or sister out. And until next week, people, please keep on spreading that board gaming love and take care of yourself. Peace.